Welcome to Retro Scale Modelling. This is part 2 of Revel's Audi R10 TDI. In part 1, I began the build and finished it up with doing a bit of the suspension work on an engine, as well as going on to the tail fin of the car. In this part, I'll be predominantly concentrating on the driver's cockpit area and the front suspension. So let's jump into this. To kick things off, I'm placing on some decals. The paintwork has all been dried up and everything, and these decals are there to simulate the carbon fibre that the car's made out of. I'm using Rebel Aquila 99 aluminium, and this is for the tail fin that sits at the back of the car. And while that's drying, I'm putting on the last support bracket for the suspension system and roll bar. This just stretches over the bottom here. Next to go in is the support beams for the tail fin. This also makes up one of the side panels, which if you watch the first video, you'll know that at some point I will be painting over the black of the panel to go to aluminium because I painted it wrong. So once they're in, it's the two support beams that go in next, and they just sit right in front of the exhaust system, right in between. Next to be painted in 99 aluminium is the radiator grid sections. Now I should also point out, if you've got this model and you're displaying it fully without the engine on show, there's no need to do this because it's all encased inside the car. You will not see it if you're closing it up. So next is the colour mixer, 91 steel 10% and 07 black gloss 90%. And this is the panels for the driver's cockpit and support area. The next is 302 silk black. Now this is actually the fuel tank, believe it or not. But the reason why it's painted black is you don't really see much of it inside the car. In fact, you only really get to see the spout to receive the fuel, and a little bit at the back where the cockpit joins onto it, which would be black anyway. So you may as well just paint it all black. In fact, the instructions tell you to paint it black anyway. As you can see, if I fast forward this part, this is all the little decals I'm placing on for inside the driver's cockpit and support area. There's quite a few to put on, but they're very small. It's up to you whether you leave them off or not. Now the support beams are dry, I can place in the fin. There's 4 little location points for this. I placed the back piece in first, the larger piece I should say, before placing on the thinner piece. And that piece just sits on top, and it actually comes down at an angle to rest onto the wider piece of the fin. Next to be assembled is the radiators that I painted earlier, and they just slot onto the backing plate. They go inside, not a direct fit over the entire area. So it just slots inside. There is 2 little run-off brackets which sort of poke out a little bit, so if you're doing it, just be aware of that. Don't be tempted to snip them off. So then it's time for more painting. I'm not going to go too much into this part of the painting here because it was called for silver first of all, and then you have to put a decal over it and cover up all the painting, so I don't know why you had to paint it. This part though you did have to paint, so it's back to my paint mixer, 91 steel and 07 black gloss, 10% to 90% ratio. For the driver's seat, I'm painting this in Revel Aquila 09 anthracite, just the one colour. I'm not shading or anything on this or trying to get any creases or whatnot in it, so it's just the block colour. There's a couple of airfoils that you have to paint, and it's 35 Italian red. These are getting painted, and it's the front part of the actual car itself. And once that was dried, I was able then to fit it into the main capsule. There is 4 little location points for it. They were a bit tight to place on. You may have to open them up very slightly for more easy fit, but apart from that it did fit quite well. And then next is the front suspension brackets that are going in. This strangely enough does get fitted inside this capsule, and it does sort of stick out underneath as well. You will see this. So now it's time to put on some of the decals. Next to go on is the seatbelt decals for the seat. An easy process, this one. A little bit awkward in places, I suppose, because you have to bend them around the seat, but it's more to do how to hold it than it is to put the decal on. On the suspension arm, there's also a decal goes on to that as well. This one was quite tricky to put on because of the nature of the area which it was going on to. And the decals at the front are the areas where I painted silver until it tells you to put these decals on. Now remember, these decals are there to represent carbon fibre. And the last one is around the edge of this place. This was very difficult to get on. You may be wise to cut this in two and put it in sections and trying to put it all in one go. The next step is to make the underside of the suspension system. I had no problem fitting it though. It all went in its various location points. Once it was in, I was able to fit the two connecting brackets. Now these don't get cemented into position. Just be aware they may pop off while you're assembling later on down the line. It happened to me, but it was easy enough just to pop them back in. Once they're in position, put on the brake discs before putting the steering armbar on. Now again, you don't glue this in position. The instructions ask you to heat up the little nub of plastic and melt it down. But if you're careful, you can add a little bit of cement onto it and still have it free moving. But if not, just heating up a little piece of metal, then pressing it down onto the area is absolutely fine as well. Now we come to the fuel tank, and that just sits in the cradle there. Place it in the way I did, from front to back. That way you'll get a better fit. And then I've started to fit the compartment for the driver's seat. It's in one main section. The area left blank is for the seat, and all the rest is for the companion compartment, as well as starting the compartment for the driver as well. And then the seat is the last part to go in. There's a little connection point just in the middle there. It should just slot in. Next to go into the foot pedals. You can't really see them, so feel free to leave them off if you wish. The air intakes are next to be painted. It's now time to place in the radiators and the air intakes. Now I would strongly suggest, if you've got this kit, fit the driver's compartment first before fitting these. You may find them too tight to place on otherwise, but if you fit the driver's compartment, then they should just slot in nice and easy. For the wheel hubs, it's 99 aluminium. You can change the colour to these as you wish. I've seen some of them with gold or bronze colour. It's entirely up to you which colour you want, really. I'm now putting on the decals for the tyres. These decals are quite tricky to put on, not because of the shape or anything. It's getting them to stick to the actual rubber. Your normal decal solution may not work, depending on what solution you're using. Either way, it's going to take quite a lot, one normal amount of time for these to set in because of the nature of the material it's going on to. Now to combat that, you can put on a clear matte varnish, then the decal will stick to it, but that will change the look of the tyre slightly as well though. Painting the steering wheel, and it's 90 silver going on to 09 anthracite, and then the last colour will be the mixed colour at 91 steel and 07 gloss black. Those three colours make up the majority of the steering wheel. There is decals to go on top as well, but like all these things, that's the colour that the instructions are telling me to do it in, but obviously you can do them how you wish. I'm not sure. The reason why I say that is I'm not sure whether the colour actually works or not. So going on to the main body of the car, and I'm using Revlon Upcolor 07 Black Gloss, and this is just the strip right at the very edge of the bottom of the main panels on the bodywork. I'm placing the decals on now for the control panel for the steering wheel. Now these are so small that there's no point in showing you. You wouldn't see them in any detail really with the camera I used, unfortunately. Next is 34 Italian Red, and this is for the who's just behind the driver position. Now, depending on which version you're doing, will denote what colour this is going to be. They're either going to be the red or the yellow. This is will end part 2. There's still quite a bit to be done, and I was hoping to get this done in 2 videos, but I don't think it's going to be possible. So this is a good place to stop. So if you haven't done so already, why don't you check out the other part of this build, or indeed the rest of the content on my channel. If you subscribe to the channel, you'll be notified of any updates that are due to come along. Hit that like button and of course leave a comment. But for now, thank you all very much for watching. Bye bye.